Hello, gracefully chosen community, and welcome to Foster My Stories, the achievement-focused podcast for foster care, adoption, orphan, inclusive of underserved communities. I'm your host, Shalina Michelle Tate, and on today's cast episode, I would like for you to get to know my featured guest, Porshe Colts. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, and I am happy to be on this podcast to give my testimonies.
Yes, well, I'm super excited to have you on here. This lady is a powerhouse of a woman, but before we get into the dynamics of what she does, Porshe, could you tell listeners just a snippet about your upbringing?
I am originally from Walterboro, South Carolina, and I was raised by my grandparents. At the age of 3, I lost my mother. By the time my grandparents took me in their care, they were middle-aged, and growing up, I had a different experience with a lot of questions about mommy and going through different emotional things as I grew up and learned about death early on, just dealing with a lot of things of that nature. But I had grandparents who were there, especially my grandmother, that been be mommy and grandmother, beyond limits to me, informed emotionally, spiritually, and had so much wisdom that she passed on to me. She passed away in 2019. Just dealing with losing her has been an eye-opener for me. I had to deal with the grief of losing a mother, then another. Over time, as I've grown and I've dealt with grief, and still noticed that she taught me so much. Now I get what she was doing because she had so much impact on my life. My God-given mission to also inspire others as well, especially young girls, ages 12 through 20, help them break barriers as well.
For you to have had your grandmother, a kinship care for you, and listeners where biological family members could also foster and or adopt family members. And so to have your grandmother, Porshe, dynamic to hear that mother, that mentor, and that guidance that you needed so early on. Could you tell listeners about your experience when you were 12 years old being at a camp?
Yes. When I was 12, volunteered over the summer at a summer camp at an elementary school, and that is where I discovered that I like and I enjoy working with children. That summer was the best summer. I volunteered. I got to know some of the children, and just seeing the smiles on their face, joy, do different activities, brought so much joy to me that I realized that that was something that I looked forward to doing once I got older. Just a moment for me where I was like, I want to do something with helping children, helping youth.
Yes.
I want to go in a direction where I want to help children like me, those different from me as well, but especially those who may have lost a parent or they don't have their parents, they don't know their biological parents. That part is important because a lot of times when you're young, you may not find anyone that you can relate to. And that was one of my issues I had growing up. It felt like I was the only one in the room sometimes.
Yes.
But fast forward, I understand that I wasn't the only one. I'm not the only one. And I wanted children to know that you're not the only one and you aren't alone. There are people out there who care for you and they're standing in for you and they're standing up for you. And your voice matters.
Yes.
As I continued along and went through high school and just volunteered, I still had the desire to work with youth. Attended college, I had some struggles and realized that I need to work on my study habits. I was introduced to an academic coach. He gave me tools to utilize to study habits that work. It resulted in me being able to get over my academic humps and hurdles that I had. It became a success story. Being a peer mentor at the Academic Success Center, I realized that mentoring was a direction that I wanted to eventually go in, but I just wasn't sure if that was the right time or the right moment because an accounting major, getting ready to graduate with my bachelor's degree in accounting. Senior year, the grad assistant there pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, Porshe, I think you should really look into this. This is something I feel like you are called to do." And at the time, scared, and I was getting ready to graduate. didn't fully go into it. I felt like it wasn't my time. I felt like God was going to push me into a direction. Eventually, it was going to time. I graduate, eventually join the military. I'm in the Army. So now I'm gaining different experiences, traveling. I've been deployed. I come back, and so now I have a new sense of a new way of living, a new insight. So I come with all these different experiences, just things that I've learned over time. Realize that, hey, Porshe, you've broken some barriers, so now you can help others break barriers as well. With that, once I could finish my military service obligation in the Army, became a veteran, and joined the civilian community, and got back to normal life as usual, began to work on my 501c3 nonprofit, Breaking Barriers, No Boundaries Incorporated.
Thank you so much for being transparent, really, about just everything, dynamic journey there. I like how you were transparent about growing up as a young girl, just not really feeling like you fit in, and your experience at the summer camp, it sounds like, was just like the stirring, really, to gravitate toward the youth that you felt like related to, that had a stirring in your calling. That's amazing to have that sense of maturity. But I know, like you said earlier, you had a dynamic mentor in your grandmother, be able to realize that that's the path you wanted to go on. Kudos to your accounting credentials. I know you put in the time and effort for that. Definitely might have to call you up. Okay, and that's another story. Congratulations on just, getting through Clemson. They have a phenomenal program. I briefly did a couple years back the Ice House program there. Also working at my local academic success center via Midlands Tech, though. Supervisor had at the time was telling me or encouraging me to go see if I could get involved in a 10-week entrepreneurship program. It was called Ice House, and it was being offered there at Clemson, and just my time learning was dynamic. Now, hear your journey continuing to go through the Army and how that instilled visionary of everything you've grown into. Could you tell listeners more about, I love your website, Breaking Barriers, No Boundaries Incorporated. Listeners, please go visit her website. I love the pictures. I love the mission, really, to inspire and motivate girls to make positive, healthy choices despite any barriers or circumstances. Can you tell listeners more about your website and your partner, Ms. Tammy?
So, Breaking Barriers, No Boundaries Incorporated. The website is www.bbzb.org. And my website is based off of Breaking Barriers, No Boundaries. And it is to provide a mentoring program that supports the development of girls ages 12 through 20 in underrepresented communities to overcome any obstacle and defy the odds. So do we want to do that? Our vision is through the mentoring program of Breaking Barriers, No Boundaries, young girls will be provided skills and information to create goals, accomplish them, and become competent young women in society. My personal view and opinions is, girls are better when they feel seen,
yes,
but more importantly, when they feel heard. And so for me, I want girls to know that their thoughts are valid, and so are their voices.
yes,
and to understand that things may not always go as planned.
yes.
We may have A, B, C, and D in mind, but things may come out of order.
Yes.
Life happens. Sometimes life throws us a curveball. And so I tell people, obstacles are going to come in life. But the ultimate question I love to ask, will you fold or break barriers? I just really want girls to know that no matter what comes their way, people out there to support them, and the resources are there. Studies have shown that youth girls are prone to engage in certain behavior or delinquent behavior, just depending on their environmental factors or, other reasons. But I want them to know that no matter the circumstances that they're in or anything that they're going through, that those barriers can be broken.
Yes.
I feel as if my God-given mission is to mentor and assist girls along the way, not just in one community, but eventually in other communities as well.
Thank you so much for sharing about your website. And I just love the vision to pour back into the lives of young women, girls as well. And yes, I'm rooting for you on your endeavors to expand, not just in the Midlands, but be able to expand maybe internationally or globally. I'm so excited for your journey. And is there any other things that you're working on or desire to work on future-wise, something you're desiring to, as far as an addition to your service or other endeavors?
Yes. So you mentioned it before. Tammy Grant is also my partner as well, and my aunt, mother's sister. And Tammy is another dynamic woman. Tammy also helped raise me growing up with my grandmother. Support me as my backbone, a vital part to breaking barriers. Not only for my own personal development and raise, but also professionally as well. A mentor to me that I look up to as well. We've come up with so many ideas and plans and workshops that we're looking forward to bring into the fall of 2022. There is a program that we came up with and created last year, LaWanda's Den, for young women and young mothers. It's a program to help young mothers become self-sufficient. Wanda is my mother's name, and my mother was a young mother.
Yes.
It's also important that we don't overlook young mothers as well, because they're important and they matter. Their children matter as well. And so it's important that we support them, provide resources for them as well through LaWanda's Den. We plan on working with other nonprofits soon to come.
Yes, I'm just excited to hear, and then to hear about Miss Tammy just being and then really another mentor and mother figure for you, supporting the vision and together being able to have this dynamic service, wanting to be able to provide LaWanda's Den. I would love to connect y'all to journey towards a purpose dynamic, maybe meeting, listening to your information, and they're wanting to become involved or get their youth involved. How can they apply? Is it on your website, and what's the requirements?
The application is on the website, and if you go on the website, you can go to www.bbcb.org and you go to the event. It is going to bring up the application in order for you to put in your information and put your mentee information. If you're looking to sign up a young girl or sign up your niece, your daughter, cousin, ages 12 through 20, the application is open, it's online. Once you submit that information, we'll review it, set up a call, we'll set up a meeting, go from there. Also, the volunteer tab is on there as well. And if you have any questions about the website or filling out anything, there is a contact number, 803-605-2015.
Once again, her number is area code 803-605-2015, and visit her website, www.bbzb.org, where you can learn so much more about breaking barriers. Porsche, before we go, what would you say to listeners who may have lost a loved one, or who may be like you, wanting to possibly go into a service one day where they can provide mentorship and support for others? What words of wisdom would you like to leave?
I would like to leave them with, you can do anything you put your mind to. It is important that we all know and feel that we can accomplish anything. For me, I know that my faith do anything through Christ. So for me and any of the believers out there, know that you can do anything you put your mind to. Stand on your faith and keep going. Things will get tough. There will be times that you will get discouraged. There will be times that you feel alone. There will be times that you feel unsupported. And there will be people that won't support, and that's okay. But there are people out there who will. And just know that you aren't alone.
Thank you so much, and Porsche, for just being here on Foster My Stories, sharing your testimony and the mission that you are on, the journey that you're on.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate your time.
No problem. If your upbringing, community service, or job connects you to the foster, adoption, orphan, or underserved community, I would love to have you on the podcast. You can send a guest request over to info@fostermystory. That's Frank Mary Story with an I, not a Y.com. Make sure to tune in to Wednesdays via any of the platforms convenient to you. Red Circle Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Audible, Amazon Music, Radio Public, or Google Podcasts. There you can catch missed episodes or stay connected for upcoming guests and content. Please remember to tell someone, as always, being fostered, adopted, orphaned, or underserved simply means you're gracefully chosen. And thanks so much again to my guest, Porshe Colts. Listeners, feel free to please share this content and reach out to Porshe and just get involved, connect with her, and to remember to foster this story. Take care.